Just found out that my 30F husband 29 meters impregnated another woman 20F. He's been cheating for 2 years and they are engaged. All news to me. I need support and advice on how to possibly get through this. I posted this to our relationships, but because it got deleted for whatever reason, I'm cross-posting here. Honestly, all the wonderful comments and advice are really making me feel empowered and lifting my spirits. My husband Ben and I have been together 6 years, married for 3.5, and have a daughter together 22 months old. I'm due to deliver our second child in roughly 3 weeks. Basically ready to pop. I'm not going to lie and say that things have always been golden between Ben and me. Things have been a bit strained the past year. Our second pregnancy wasn't planned thanks to a migrated IUD that was rendered ineffective, unbeknownst to me until after the fact. I'm lucky the baby in me is healthy and there are no complications because of the IUD. Ben flipped when we found out we were pregnant. He pressured me heavily to get an abortion. I'm not against abortion and fully support my fellow women's right to choose. However, in my situation, I am a successful woman in my career. I love being a mother. I thought I had a loving husband, and, at the end of the day, it's my damn body. So I kept the baby. We went into counseling to help us work through the issues my decision caused. That lasted about a month. Ben is definitely resentful. He also started insulting my pregnant body, and we have not had S-time in 5 months. With my hormones, my libido is through the roof when I'm pregnant. I initiated S-time constantly with him and he would act disgusted because of my body. People of Reddit who have been pregnant with a partner of someone who was as pregnant know that things definitely do change. Some things are swollen, engorged, be-east leak at a certain point in the pregnancy, etc. The hurt I felt at his rejection was profound. It was so profound that I didn't gain nearly enough weight in my first 2 trimesters because I wasn't eating, and when my doctor asked what was going on, I broke down in his office and told him everything. I told him that I didn't want to eat because the bigger I got, the more disgusted my husband became. I started at 112 pounds, I'm only 5 feet 2 inches and by 6 months pregnant, was weighing in at only 114.5 pounds. That was significantly underweight. I should have been about 10 pounds heavier than that. Side note, doctor and I had a serious talk. The doctor made dietary suggestions that would help. He set a goal weight for me and I'm now up to 126 pounds, which, while still under where I should be, is okay with my doctor. The first pregnancy, Ben was great. Attentive and loving. He'd go out and get me food and supplies. He'd rub my sea ankles. I was put on bed rest due to complications for the last 1.5 months of my pregnancy. That was miserable, but he was really good to me during the ordeal. No S-time during that time, obviously. So the other day I was at the grocery store and this very gorgeous young woman approached me and asked if I was Mrs. Ben. I said yes. She asked if she could buy me a dessert at the cafe in the store and talk to me. I was confused and asked if I knew her, and she told me no, but that she knew my husband and that we needed to talk about some things. I knew right then, I swear I did. So I followed this perky little blonde girl to the cafe and heard her out. She was so matter-of-fact that I wanted to reach over and yank her ponytail right out of her head. She said that she and Ben were in love, had been for a couple of years, and that they were going to get married as soon as he files for divorce. When I found my voice again, I asked her WTF she was talking about. She pulls up her Insta and starts showing me all of these pictures of them together. Ben has been pretty MIA during this pregnancy, which I chalked up to just him avoiding me since he is still angry about the pregnancy and doesn't want to have S-time. Infidelity on his part crossed my mind, for sure, but I honestly didn't think he was. He's a great father and I thought a decent man. I really thought he'd divorce me before he'd have an affair. I still don't know how he managed to make the time to go on all the hikes and swims, etc. that they were going on in their pics. He took her to Toronto a couple of months ago when he went for a work convention. They vacationed together. So this girl met my husband 2 years ago when she was 18 years old at, I bet you could guess, the gym where she worked. By the time frame I could pull together from her, they started seeing each other right around when I was on bed rest during my first pregnancy. Then she flashes me the engagement ring and says they're engaged. She gave me a stupid, condescending face and said something like, "I really am sorry it didn't work out for you too." This girl had some nerve confronting me in person, 8 months pregnant. She's lucky I didn't choke her with the cookie she bought me. She said something like, "You'll be okay, you two haven't been in love for a while." Ben has been really open and honest with me about everything, so she knew about me 100%. She knew I was pregnant, she knew we already have a child together. And yet she still lives in some fucking other world where this is fine, because she gets the prize. My hormones did not allow me to sit quietly and come up with a plan of action. I left this little twit in the grocery store, got in my car, and drove straight to Ben's office. I marched into his office, grabbed his coffee mug and threw it into the wall behind him. It was not the best way to handle things, but I yelled pretty loudly about what I just found out. Ben's assistant, who is a lovely woman whom I love dearly and who loves me, was sitting at her desk outside his office. I addressed her and said, "Hey Jane, do you know that Ben is a poss? Do you know that he's engaged to a 20-year-old girl and he's been screwing her for 2 years?" Then I started shouting at the whole office, letting them know that Ben is a cheating weasel of a man, that he's less than a man. It was really bad of me, I know. I'm still embarrassed, humiliated really. Ben got me out of the office and sat in my car with me. I asked him how he could do this to me and why didn't he just divorce me already. His response was that he wasn't planning on divorcing me because he loved me and our family. I told him that. "We'll call her Holly," certainly seemed to think he was, so he might want to let her in on that fact. Like, perhaps he shouldn't have proposed. Just a thought. Ben starts crying and saying he didn't know why he let things go as far as they did with Holly, that it was a huge ego boost to his stupid DCK that an 18-year-old girl that looked like her wanted to FK him. Anyway, he kept saying we can get through this. I was just sobbing because I'm literally fucking weeks away from giving birth to this man's child. After all the stupid crying and meaningless words, he makes an offhanded comment about how he's pretty sure she'll abort the baby if he tells her that he's not divorcing or leaving me and that he's ending things with her. Holly had failed to mention she was pregnant and she was wearing a jacket. I didn't notice a belly. That's when my tears stopped and I told him to GFO of my car. He realized I hadn't known that fact and started to backtrack and kept pleading with me. I grabbed my purse and started swatting him with it, not hard, for the record. Every time he tried to talk, I'd swat him with it and just kept telling him to GFO. He finally did. I called my big brother and told him to come over. He essentially acted as bodyguard bouncer when Ben tried to come home. Handed him a suitcase we'd packed for him and told him to stay away and to go FK himself. My phone has been blowing up with messages, calls. My brother and his fiancée have been helping out with taking care of my daughter and me. My parents are deceased, so no parents to lean on during this. My girlfriends have been great as well. We are all shocked. I don't know if I want him even in the delivery room. My brother's fiancé and my friends have already offered to step in and be there, no matter what time when. I can't express to you the stress I'm under right now. I have a daughter to take care of and a baby to deliver in just a few weeks. Now I have a divorce to think about, assets to divide, people to tell, and just complete and utter grief to go through. I'm going to be a single mother of 2. Every time I say that I feel like I'm going to have a panic attack. I started having pains a couple of days after this. It's been 2 weeks and went to see my doctor, but he said everything was fine. Told me to, as silly as it sounds, take baths and just take the time to breathe. He told me to lean my head back so I am looking at the ceiling and then submerge my head until my ears are under. Then he said to listen to my breathing, take deep breaths in and out. He told me to calm down and to just catch my breath, to not allow myself to get so stressed that I put strain on this pregnancy. It is surprisingly effective. Sorry this got so long, but I desperately needed to get this out and to tell people, even if you are all strangers. Any advice on how to juggle a divorce with all of this? Should I let him in the delivery room? I'm so stressed I haven't even talked to a lawyer yet. Should I now or wait until after the birth? I'm so terrified and so lost right now. Please, any advice would help me out right now. Redditors' reactions. Redditor 1, girl. I am in awe of your restraint. Absolute awe. I felt my blood pressure rise as I read this. Scorch the earth. Salt the fields. Get a ruthless lawyer and go for the jugular. I would absolutely not have him in the delivery room. Or my life. Redditor 2, girl. Anytime you feel bad about what's happening, remember that some 20-year-old idiot actually thinks she found true love with someone who is too old for her. Divide by 2, plus 7, home-wrecked a marriage, and is pregnant with his child. I mean, what the FCK? If she had even a lick of sense, she'd be aware that the next 60 years of her life are not looking too great. It was really bad of me, I know. I'm still embarrassed, humiliated really. Ha 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 ha, why? That was awesome. Duck that guy. When someone cheats on their pregnant wife, no one is like, way to go. I guess she's mad because she's crazy. Literally every person in that office thinks he's a giant tool. I recommend calling his mom too, but I'm a burn it to the ground chick when it comes to cheating. You are a badass. Terrible people will sometimes try to tear you down, but know that you're the only person in this triangle with any dignity and integrity. And surround yourself with your family. Your brother and his wife sound awesome. I'm so glad they're in your life. Take care, up. I'm so optimistic for you, and I'm so glad you get to shed this dead weight. Redditor follow-up. This, duck that guy, he deserved the humiliation he got, and I don't think anyone ever would blame you for that. I'm actually super crazy proud of you, a stranger. You are a damn hero. Redditor 3. I'm not sure if it's considered advice, but I will share this. Many moons ago I was very young and pregnant with my first child. I was not ready for a baby, and was strongly considering all of my options. My boyfriend at the time lovingly talked me into keeping it, saying such things as "we love each other so much, we can do this," etc. He used a lot of the word "together," if I remember correctly. Around 5 months into the pregnancy, his new GF confronted me, similar to your situation. There was no marriage or anything, but obviously he was committed elsewhere. When confronted, he acted like the loser he was, blaming me, blah blah blah. It was a nightmare for me, and anyone around me at the time that cared for me. The complete lack of respect and decency in a situation like this was appalling. Fast forward 13 years. I have been committed to being the best mother person that I could ever be. I never knew I would like it until I tried. Now I honestly don't know what I'd do without knowing myself that way, if that makes sense. I've learned so much about life, people, relationships, I could go on and on. I am okay. In fact, I'm more than okay. I have been through emotional disaster and I have risen above. Her father has been in her life this whole time, pays child support, and now is a completely wonderful father to her. In fact, I couldn't ask for a better one. He seems to have grown up too, because that happens. Everything is always evolving. We may not be able to see it in the darkest of hours, but even a situation like this will look different through the lens of hindsight. The only true healer is time. And as the time passes, slowly and grueling at first, allow yourself to feel. Allow yourself to be angry and sad. Know that you never really will know what is going to happen. Trust in yourself. Rebuild the relationship that you have with your own heart. It's been shattered, but it can be transformed into something much greater than it was. It's a powerful thing to experience such destruction and come out with compassion and humility. So rise above. Be your own champion, be your children's hero. When they are much older, believe me, they will begin to understand that all parents are flawed, some more deeply than others. The truth always prevails in the end. Trust in that during these hard times. I know this when I say it, you will be okay. Finally, I feel for you. My heart goes out, as I was somewhere similar, so long ago. But it doesn't last forever. And for what it's worth, I still sink into the bath that way. Sometimes to remember, sometimes to forget, but above all, always to move forward. Redditor follow-up, stunning response. Beautiful. As someone who never knew their parents together, I am so glad to add that they are extremely good friends these days. I'm 28. And also my mom and stepmom are literally best friends. May the inevitable ticks of time heal all wounds.